Howdy, folks. I'm Blissful Blitzen, blithely bounding before bewildered bears.
I'm Amber.
And here are more bewildered bears for us to bound before. They're probably bewildered because they're like, where did free lunch come from?
No, they're bewildered because they're like, since when do deer fly? Reindeer fly.
Maybe. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Painting a Curse Word on the Wall of My Friend's New House? My friend and his wife just bought their first home. It is a fixer-upper, and I have been helping them out with the fixing. My father was a handyman and a contractor, so I have a lot of skills and experience doing some maintenance, repairs, and upgrades on a house. I also have pretty much all of the tools that I need to do most of the work. This last weekend, I was help painting the dining room, and I had everything set up the way I wanted, and I was ready to go. For some reason, the wife decides to let their dogs into the room while I'm painting. One of them steps in the roller tray and then jumps up onto me. His wife laughed it off like it was no big deal that I had a paw print on me. I also had to throw out that primer because it now had mud in it, and I had told them both to let me do my work in peace. After I prepared a new tray of paint, I wrote in primer the F word in huge letters on the wall. It was in primer. For those of you who may not know, primer is a coat of paint that you put down before the actual paint. For a lack of better word, it sticks to the wall better, and when it dries, it creates a better surface for the paint to stick to. His wife saw it and freaked. She said that I was drawing profanity in their house. I told her that it was primer and to stay out of my way. I finished the job and then I went home. My friend called me and said that I had really upset his wife with my childishness and that she would not let me back in until I apologized. I asked him what I was apologizing for. He said because I wrote a curse word on his wall. I asked him to provide a picture. He said that he couldn't since I had painted over it. I asked what the problem was since the word wasn't there anymore. He said that I needed to apologize. I said that him wanting me to apologize in no way is the same as me needing to apologize. He said that I could not come back until I did. No problem for me. I was helping him for free on my weeks off from work. He called me 2 days later and asked if I was coming to finish the painting since I was away for work for 3 weeks. I said that I wasn't ready to apologize yet and that maybe I would when I got back. I probably won't. She is now telling everyone that I'm a terrible person for leaving a job half finished. I tell everyone who asks that I was working for free and they told me not to come back. There is now a big fight in our friends group between the people who think that I should keep the peace and those who think that I'm being an entitled whiner. No one else is volunteering to help out at their house, and now either they have to finish it or pay someone to finish it. I'm getting a lot of grief for that too. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk, and good riddance. I mean, it seems like you were doing them a big favor, and they are like, oh no, you can't come over and keep doing more for free until you apologize. I would understand if you had painted the F word in giant letters and just left it there, why they would be upset. But they were being jerks to you by letting the dog, run through the space, get you covered in primer, ruin the primer that you were going to use. You were just like blowing off some steam. It wasn't anything that was going to be on their wall permanently.
Yeah, I guess for me it depends on what the wife's intentions are here, right? Because some people, they don't like being in houses that have had people who've died in them because they're superstitious and they think that like the vibes in the house are off. And the same kind of thing could be for profanity on the walls. If she's truly feels like it's going to impart a bad vibe into the house, that might be a little bit of a different situation. But
Well, shouldn't painting over it fix it in a way? Like,
I don't know. I
there's
don't know
not
the rules on vibes.
like at the point, like when she came in, Opie had already written it, so there wasn't anything that he could do other than paint over it.
Yeah. And like I said, I think that this is kind of a very edge case. I don't think that this is the reason why she's doing this. I think that she just wants him to apologize because she's entitled.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, I understand not wanting to have profanity painted on your walls. And I think that you have to pick and choose your battles. And I don't think that this is a good battle for them to pick. Because clearly they're not going to be able to get their free labor out of it. And I guess that the cost of free labor is sometimes profanity. Maybe that's the moral of this story.
Or, just don't let your dogs run over people when they're painting. Like, I think that's the moral here.
Yeah, but let me know what you folks think. So, anyhow, take care and good luck. And Beautiful Report 58 says, Info, how much do you value the friendship? And OP replies, Meh, I could take it or leave it. I liked my friend a lot more before he got married. That's unfortunate. And Alternate 2 9654 says, Not the jerk. Did they even offer to pay you for the job to begin with? If not, then they aren't entitled to your time. Besides, the word is covered, so it shouldn't be a big deal. They wouldn't have even seen it if they didn't walk in before you painted over it. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes. I've never had more than 200, lol. Don't forget to drink some water and eat some food today. That's some kind advice. And OP replies, They didn't need to offer to pay. I was glad to help. I have a lot of free time on my weeks off, and I was glad to do it. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my dad that he can make decisions about my home when he pays the bills? This was me throwing his words back in his face. I'm a 24-year-old male, and I live with my girlfriend of 10 years now. We both graduated and got our first house together. It's been great. I am not close with my dad. We ended up with bad blood between us in my teens because when he remarried after the death of my mom, his wife wanted all traces of my mom removed from the living spaces of the home to make it feel more like home to her. And they were not willing to compromise and keep some up for me. My dad told me that I can make those decisions when I pay the bills. Since I was a kid, that wasn't possible. And so all of my mom's photos, keepsakes, and anything ever added to the house of hers were taken down and stored in my room because I said that dad didn't get to keep it if he didn't think enough of mom to keep even one thing up of hers. My girlfriend and I have a lot of childhood and family photos in our place. I kept all of mine safe at my aunt's house until I had my own place. My girlfriend's family are big on taking photos, so she has a lot of them too. We also have photos of us from our 10 years together. During the housewarming, my dad's wife noticed that she wasn't in any of the photos around the home, and nothing she ever gifted me was there. She took offense, and dad took offense on her behalf. He confronted me on the lack of sign that I had a stepmother. I shrugged him off and I told him to focus on the party. He didn't like that. So a few days later, he comes back over and tells me that I should show some signs of his wife being part of the family, and like having one photo of her up wouldn't kill me. I told him that he can make decisions about my home when he pays the bills for my home. He went red in the face and told me that that was so different. I told him that it was not different. I said that his home was supposed to be my home back then, but he needed to take making his wife comfortable to the extreme and showed me how little he thought of mom or me in the process. He accused me of acting 4 instead of 24, and then he told me that I was petty for throwing his words back in his face like that. He stormed off, and a few more days went by, and then he started sending me those random texts that are essentially just him repeating that I behaved like a child, and throwing those words back at him did not help me make a valid point. He told me that I hurt his wife out of spite, in that I threw his words back at him out of spite, and that it was time for me to grow up. Am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. If it's time for anyone to grow up, it's Opie's dad. The dad is right that these two situations are not analogous. In one case, you have a child who has no ability to pay the bills, and you're like, oh, well, I know this is your living space, but you cannot have items of your mom in the main living space because it's offensive to my wife.
Yeah.
In the other case, you have a house where Opie's dad and stepmom do not live and just doesn't have photos of her.
Yeah, I think that these are very, very different scenarios. And I think that it sounds like OP's dad didn't let him grieve in the way that he needed to. And also took down any, like, as if his mother never existed.
Mm-hmm.
Made it so that his mother never existed, that his wife never existed. And I think that this is really sad.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very, very sad. And it isn't a good way to endear yourself to a stepchild,
No.
right? To demand that all traces of the former wife disappear.
Right. Well, Opie even says in the comments, there was like things like throw pillows and even some furniture, like they wouldn't let them keep. Like it all had to be redone for the stepmom.
Yeah, that's just awful. That really is awful. And I feel bad for OP. Whether or not he's being childish here, well, I don't know. I think that he certainly may be being petty. I don't know his motivations. Like if he doesn't like his stepmom and doesn't really want to have mementos of her, that's one thing. But if he's done this out of spite for all these years, like set this up just so that he could spite them, that isn't really healthy to hang on to. But I also don't necessarily know that I can blame OP for being spiteful in this way.
Well, and I mean, my guess is that he doesn't have, it doesn't sound like he has a relationship
Yeah.
whatsoever with this woman. And so why would he have photos of her in his
Yeah.
home?
And that's kind of what I'm thinking is it sounds like more like he doesn't really view her as a member of his family.
And he may still have resentment toward her for what she did, and that's totally understandable. But
Hmm.
like, I would be surprised if he set it up this whole, well, I mean, it doesn't matter if he did or not. I still don't think he's in the wrong.
Well, I'm not sure that I say he's in the wrong, but I think that isn't necessarily healthy to hang on to spite like that. And maybe this is just the catharsis that he needs to kind of move past this situation. It could be, it could be. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Did you hear the story of the zombie's grave?
I did. It was a very peculiar story. Once upon a time, there was a zombie's grave. It sat alone and empty because there was a zombie running around. And that grave pined for the zombie to come back to it. It was like, "Where did you go, my body friend?" And then one day, the zombie came back and was like, "Hi, grave." And the grave was overjoyed and cried tears of happiness. And then the zombie was like, "Wow, that's flooded now. I'm not going to go into this grave." And I guess the moral of the story is don't cry over lost zombies.
Never mind, you wouldn't dig it.
I thought that that was a perfectly diggable story. And I have Earl Grey. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, spectacular Saturday. I hope it is spectacular for you, and I hope it's going well. Amber, we need some moral advice and or guidance, and please have it in 12 words or less.
Treat your kids like members of the house.
Treat your kids like members of the house. I like it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!